Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of TD Plays It Some AI Stuff. In this edition, I want to go over some of the new beta features that Figma is announcing for their native MCP. They're about a month ago or so, they announced some new features that would allow users to write back to Figma. So this is where you can take an HTML page and then you can recreate that HTML page inside of Figma as an editable design. This kind of takes that a step further, and now you have these specialized skills available to you. And this actually helps convert those designs into things that are more design systems friendly. So things like variables and theming and components. And I thought I would take you through a demo of that today. These are all beta features. I was lucky enough to get a little bit of a preview so I can play around with them. And then so in today's demo, I want to show you how I'm going to convert a coded component that we have in our design system. I'm going to use a chip component because it's fairly simple. And then just for the sake of time, it should be able to generate it fairly quickly. But it does have some composability. There's an interaction. There's a dismissible version of it, and there's one that has an optional icon. And there are some different variables that are associated with it, or different states associated with it. And this is our Figma file here. As you can see that we do not have a chip in this one. So I'm going to get started and go into, I'm using Warp here, and I'm just going to say, using let me do it like this. I want to give it a path to where it can find the coded chip. So I'll say, here is the component path to our web component based chip component. And I'll paste this in there, and I think it's just chip. Could you please use the Figma use skill along with the Figma generate skill to generate this coded component in a new page in our altitude design system? And then just in case, I will pass it the URL to the altitude design system, although it should be able to just find it. But so what I'm doing here is I want to make sure that I probably just could have said like in our altitude code library, but I'm running this from a different code base. So I want to say, go find the chip component. It's a web component based design system. I want you to find all of the details to it so it looks like it did. And then I want you to use the Figma tool, which is the one that I had shown up here, that allows the writing to Figma. And let's see what it's doing here. So we can see the file. It's going to go, it looks at in the Atom section, which is where it knows where it should belong. So now it is doing some analysis, grabbing local variables, checking for local variables if they exist. And sometimes it's hard to follow along. But this all looks correct. I can see that I just created the page in here. And then so assuming this is where it'll eventually pop up. Yeah, so this one I see a lot. This use Figma one is great. It does a lot of the it's the workhorse. It's the one that's the powerhouse of all of these skills. These are all skills based enhancements for this MCP, and so far so good in playing with this. I've built a couple of components. I've edited some components with it, and the results have been pretty promising. I like to use this in combination with the Figma Console MCP. I think there's obviously some overlap between what these two tools can do, but it's nice to utilize something like these new native features with Figma's native console, with Figma's native MCP, and then do some things like this, where the Figma Console is doing a Figma code parity check. So it's nice to see these tools working in tandem and collaboratively. So it looks like here is what it created, which is pretty close. Let's see what we got here. So it looks like we got our properties and values that are on there. Let's just compare it against what we have up here. So we got variance is dismissible, and we have the type. So we got type is dismissible, and we got those variants. That's great. I think we could fix this with some layout just to make it more horizontal, similar to how we do some of our other component layouts. But for now, I think this is pretty good. Let's check and see if it has our variables, and it does. It's using accurate variables in here, which is correct. This is the danger version. It's using those variable names, which is awesome. So this to me feels pretty good for a first pass. Let's just take a look at how it performs on the code parity check. So there are some minor things that it's picking up. It looks like there might have been a background color that didn't make it through with a variable, and it caught that. There's some little things that it says that it's picking up with some, let's see, some values in here that have to do with see where it's finding that. Oh, this is just has to do with the gap between these. So I'm not really concerned about that. So some types, square, rounded square versus square. Some naming conventions is different. Okay, these are all things that could be sorted out. I wouldn't consider any of these critical. Let's see. So it's saying that this version is production ready, and the full URL can be found there. That's great. And then maybe we could do something like, please leave a comment for the designer to address any drift that has happened between the coded component and the newly designed component. And then so this is where the Figma native MCP did its thing. It generated these components. It did a really good job matching them up to the variables that are located within the system. And then it just naturally passed it off to the Figma Console MCP to do a code parity check to make sure that what it had created was aligned nicely with what was in code. And then now I'm saying, well, if I'm the product designer, then I can either let the Figma Console MCP or the Figma native MCP go ahead and make these updates themselves. But for the purposes of allowing the designer to do the designer's thing, I just added a comment in here that said, here's the results from that parity check. You might want to go ahead and take a look through it and then see if there's anything that needs to manually be updated here, or leverage more of the tool itself to be able to get it to update it to where it needs to be completely aligned with what's in code. So anyway, I thought that was that's a good sneak peek into what's to come. I hope you enjoyed it. Have fun with it, and I will chat with you later.